The following video is brought to you by Realtree.
Staying on stand is really important, obviously, during the rut, because we're going to spend a lot of time out in the field. Our morning hunts generally last until almost midday, and our afternoon hunts start shortly after noon. So we spend a lot of time in the tree stand. And if you're cold, your time may be less productive, less enjoyable, but more importantly, you may be tempted to climb down sooner than you would normally if you were staying warm. So warmth not only relates to comfort, but it relates to success. So we're going to talk about what my system is for staying warm on cold stands. I've got a couple of key points that I really focus on. One thing I think is a really big deal is that your outer garment needs to be windproof. The wind has such a big factor in how you feel in the tree stand. You know, wind chill, that's the real number. You know, the temperature of the day isn't the real number that you're dealing with, it's the wind chill temperature. So if you've got some way to cut the wind so it can't blow through your outer layers, that's going to make you feel a lot more comfortable on stand, and it's going to help you to stay out there longer. So I'm going to come back again to that, but that's one of the key points. The other one is you really got to keep your core warm. You know, and you do that by focusing on the items that go around that part of your body. And first layer for me is, I've got a system here that I've been using from Cabela's. This one is the Thermal Zone garment. And it's got different materials for different parts of your body. So it's got the most insulated in the areas where your body doesn't sweat as much, where you lose heat the most. It's an efficient garment, real handy. You know, it helps you to stay warm without sweating too much. I wear a little thin vest over the top of it. I like a vest because it doesn't inhibit your arm movement when you're drawing your bow or climbing in and out of your tree stand, yet it still helps to retain the heat in that important core part of your body. So the vest goes on everything, anything that I wear, whether it's during the rut or during the late season, I'm always wearing a vest. So the next thing is my head, and I'm looking at the importance of making sure that my head stays warm, and a lot of heat goes out through your head. So I always say a face mask, even when it doesn't seem like it's really cold out, a face mask is definitely going to help you hold a lot of heat in. So I'll wear face masks whenever the temperature gets down below about 40 degrees on stand. Then you got to layer up your head. And I like some kind of a hat with a bill so that I can tip my head down if I'm looking into the sun so I can see in that direction more easily. So I've got a little short-billed hat here. It's a polar fleece hat. A lot of people make fun of it because it's kind of a goofy looking hat, but it's warm, and that's what's most important to me. When it gets really cold, I'll put this little beanie underneath it. So I'll wear a beanie, I'll wear my face mask, a beanie, and then this fleece hat on the cold days. And that's enough to keep me warm down to negative wind chills on my head. So if your head is warm, that really helps to keep your whole body warm. Now, let's look at this outerwear. And I'm wearing a suit, it's a coverall, and I like the coverall because it eliminates all the cold spots. There's no place where you've got a layer, you know, where two pieces of clothing can separate and create a cold spot in the small of your back or someplace else where typically, you know, the wind will blow in there and you're just always uncomfortable. This is also a product that I'm working on with Cabela's that we're developing, and it's a scent containment suit. And we'll talk about it a lot more, I'm sure, at some point, but the concept is not so much to neutralize, well, it's not at all to neutralize or to absorb odors, but rather to contain them, to mechanically contain them within the garment. So that goes over the top of everything. And like I said, I really think that having that windproof outer layer is critical to staying warm. Now, footwear. I just wear a single thin pair of these it's a wool poly type of a sock. Nothing too fancy there. You can buy them at almost any sporting goods store. But the main thing is, don't pack your boots too tight. You want the boot to feel a little bit loose on your feet so you can get plenty of circulation so the blood can move through your feet and get to your toes. A lot of times that's what makes your feet get cold quicker than anything else, is the circulation gets cut off. So for mid-season hunting, I just use they're Whitetail Extreme boots from Cabela's, and they'll keep you warm, I don't know, down to in the 40s probably. And I've got another set that'll drop a little bit lower than that, probably into the 30s. But when it gets really cold, like into the 20s and below, then I wear this boot right here. Some people wear boot blankets or other systems to keep their feet warm, but I don't have to with these. This is the Saskatchewan boot from Cabela's. And I've worn this thing, I guess, for about 3 or 4 years now when it gets really cold. And it's amazing how warm my feet will stay in these things. I mean, I have notoriously cold feet. So they'll keep my feet warm, they'll keep your feet warm. So that's it, that's my system. And it served me well through boy, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years I've been using this system and stayed real warm through almost all conditions. Sometimes you got to gut it out a little bit during the late season when it gets really cold. But if you spend enough time in a tree, your body starts to harden to those conditions anyway, and it doesn't seem quite as bad. So, you don't have to dress like the Michelin Man in order to stay warm. You just have to be smart about it. And most importantly, you got to keep your core warm, and you got to wear something that's windproof.